everything turned on. Okay. So just kind of a reminder tonight, what you need to do is select your chair, your vice chair, and your secretary. And so I'm going to do, do you have somebody take a roll call, or do we need to do that? Okay, you want to do it, and I'll.
Here we might have to leave secretary.
Okay.
Okay, Steve.
I mean, I would appoint a temporary secretary until you want to do that, and we could do it for one meeting and then go from there. Yes.
Good evening. Welcome to the January 5, 2023 meeting of the Newtown Township Trails and Greenways Committee. I'd like to remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded. First thing I'd like to do is welcome Joe Kazuka. He's going to be our new board member. She comes highly recommended. So, welcome aboard. In the absence of Secretary Cook, I will recall the roll. John Custer here. Anthony DiVincenzo.
Present.
Aaron Cook. Absent. Beth Dungisha.
Here.
Leo Archer. Absent. Joe Falcon. Present. Terry McCarthy.
Here.
Mark Carr.
Here. Oh, he's online. Hold on a second. Here. Okay. Here.
Got it. And Joe Kazuka. Thank you. Also present are Township Manager Neese and Director Sharitz. May we have a moment of silence? Please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
The next item is public comment for agenda items only. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on. The next item is appointment of a temporary chair. And
I think you can skip that in
Okay.
light of where we are. You've kind of taken that role.
all
I
right,
think you're okay to get through your next two things and then go ahead and do your thing.
okay. Next item is the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda? In a second. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion from the committee? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes carried. Next item on the agenda are the minutes of December 13, 2022. Is there a motion for approval? As written.
Motion approved.
Second? We have a second? Okay, moved and seconded. Any committee discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Agenda is approved. Okay, number 8 is going to be election of officers. I've previously notified the committee that I'm not going to be seeking re-election as chairman, but I will remain as a member. The committee was originally set up about 1.5 years ago to implement the Township Greenway and Open Space Network plan. We had a very unusual board, and then everybody was working full time. So it took a lot of effort from everybody to find the time, and they came through magnificently. I, at that time, was the only person with township experience, so I became the first chair, despite my advanced age. And my vision here was that this could be a training ground for future township leaders. And that, I think, is exactly what has occurred. You folks started from 0 experience and progressed really rapidly. You guys are in the expert category now. You have shown a lot of professionalism. And I think, you know, it's always has been a wonderful board. And I'm really proud of everybody, and I have great pleasure in serving as your chairman, and I thank you.
Hey, Joe.
Okay. Nominations for election of chair are open. I would like to nominate Anthony DiVincenzo. Do I hear a second? Second. Moved and seconded. Committee discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations.
Thank you, Joe.
I've even warmed up the chair for you.
Thank you.
Full ballot, because I don't think you guys really.
John was adamant that we switched here.
You gotta be near the gavel.
So.
Gavel might be
It might be. Especially me with wires over here, so. I appreciate it. Thank you, John. Appreciate the vote of confidence, and thank you for, you know,
All the confidence.
showing me everything you can through this period, because this obviously has been my first foray into local government, so thank you. So right on the business then, second one is the election of the vice chair. So do I hear any nominations for election of vice chair?
I would like to nominate Beth Dungisha. You take it.
I can assume then, so John, I'll say John
I'm
is,
second.
you're the second.
Yep.
Harry's recommended, John seconded, so all 4, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Beth Dungisha is going to be our new vice chair. Congratulations, Beth. Thank you. So we talked, Erin's not here right now. None of us are really aware if she at least would like to seek re-election for secretary. Based on the recommendation of Mr. Neese, we'll elect a temporary in her absence, and then we'll find out from her. So do I hear a recommendation for secretary right now? Temporary, yes, until we can get a hold of Terry and figure out what's going on there. No, I think since Mark's unable to say yes or no back, we should just recommend. Sorry, Mark. Steve, what do you think, sir? What do we do in this situation?
Well, you just need a temporary secretary. There's no.
All right, I'll do it because I'm taking my own notes anyway. So am I allowed to do that?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, so I'll put myself down there for a temporary
And then I'll take notes as best I can in Erin's absence here. She does a lot better job, but that's okay. Do we vote on that the same way? That carry? Okay, so all the ayes say aye, please.
Aye.
All right.
Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Did I do this? All right, on to,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
so
Sir.
if I could, just real quick, for those that are elected and if somebody wants to talk to Erin and see if she's interested, if that's who you would probably be recommending on the 30th of this month, January 30th, which is a Monday night. It happens to be a fifth Monday. And we don't have any other meetings. So I will be meeting with all the chairs and the vice chairs. And we'll be starting at 6 o'clock. And then we'll bring the secretaries in at 7. And the purpose of that will be to go through training on, just basics of Robert's Rules of Order, how we run a meeting, those kind of things. And then also for how to access our software for anybody that doesn't know that, and particularly for the chairs for setting up the agenda and things like that. And then for the secretaries for taking the minutes. So we're going to do all of that on the 30th. So just make note.
What time was that meeting again, sir?
For the chairs and vice chairs, it'll start at 7. The secretaries, we're bringing them in at, I'm sorry, 6 o'clock. And then we'll bring the secretaries in at 7.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on to new business. Item number 9.1, discussion of possible recommendation regarding the Philadelphia Western Suburbs Trail Summit on February 4th. John, do you have any information on this that you'd like to bring up?
No, it just appeared a couple of days ago that
Okay.
that's when the date was.
This is the same one as last year, right?
Yeah.
So last year, I prepared some presentation material to work with Leonard on that. It was all done virtually. Do we know if it's virtual again this year or in person?
I think not. I think they're gonna have it in place.
In person?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that would be good. So really at this point then, kind of item open for discussion is, does anybody have anything that they would like to contribute? So last year, it was our first year. We kind of weren't sure of it, had limited time. I kind of prepared our plans and the things that we had at least been engaging with in our first year as a committee. And, Leonard kind of laid everything out, all the history and the background that led up to it, and then kind of handed off to me for that. It was really interesting and good. It was kind of stunk that it was all virtual because you didn't get to be in the same room with these people, but we did get to see a lot of what our same counterparts in other townships were doing, which is really interesting. So does anybody have anything that they would like to propose to get put into this year's and be potentially a participant in the presentation this year? Barry?
First. Hopefully. Wherever we need to go. Hedge fund. Something commitment to interactions with people on our borders. Having a good, albeit but they're there.
No, but I mean, most of the walks that we've had have still had really good showings. So yeah, you have a large number total, but still had a good contingent every time.
And so I'd like to put that out there because maybe other environments that are also doing similar in a online app
Mhm.
like this.
So, Mr. Neese, I'm assuming, I haven't talked to Leonard yet, but I'm assuming that he's going to be in the same capacity at this upcoming summit, or no, was that just an introductory because it was the first year? I don't know if you've talked to him about it.
I've not talked to him about it, so I don't have an answer to that.
Okay, all right. Well, then what I'll do is I will follow up with Leonard to find out what he'd like to do. Terry, what I can do is I'll send you the PowerPoint presentation we did last year. Just so if you want, you can pull together a few slides, maybe from, again, you can show the ones that we've done, the awareness that we brought, and then the future plans, if you want to structure just as you laid it out. I think that would be extremely helpful. That would be great. Does anybody else have any other ideas, things they want to mention as far as our initiatives? I mean, we had last year, we were hoping the rail trail thing was going to be something we could highlight this upcoming year. Obviously, that's not the case now. So anything else that we'd like to potentially bring up as a highlight of the previous year or targets moving forward, stuff like that?
Doing walks or as many as what we've been doing, so it could be something to kind of get them excited.
All right, thank you. Any other business on this item? No? Okay, we're gonna move on to item number 9.2, discussion and possible recommendation regarding the future trail walk. So I'll throw it back to Terry there.
Unfortunately. For last month, but I wanted to mention, that we have a lot of people. It is dwindling. Maybe weather, maybe. But it's also because, thank you. I think they've been on these trails and people like to go to new places. And that's why I brought up maybe having an alliance with the group that came and presented to us that go to Hawking and go to other environments, because I know this is concentrated on our township and we want to emphasize that. But if we invite them to come with us and then we, return the favor and attend something with them, that might be a nice angle to generate more interest and more participation and cooperation. Because I try to market them on Facebook and I send them to Steve and I put them on Meetup, but the last couple of them, and it was great at Drexel Lodge to have the trains open. But again, you go from 50 participants to 20 to 15. You want to get something, a shot in the arm there to get it cooking again.
In our conversation, you had mentioned maybe having different themes and maybe possible speakers coming in.
Yes, that would be great. We could have a meditation in the meadows thing if we had somebody that could do something like that, or geological analysis of Drexel Lodge. Yeah, something that will be of currency and interest, and native plants along Goshen Trail. And
Yeah, that was one of the ideas I was talking about with John when he mentioned that when we were talking about the agenda, is just, it would be, maybe that's a way of mixing it up, is we only have so many limited trails, we go back to them, but maybe we have expert guests come along that can identify a lot and teach people maybe how to identify different species along these trails to get more further engagement and talk about the importance of this kind of stuff. That would be nice.
And working with the other committees, we have the trees folks, and they could come in and say, well, this is an extraordinary tree in this environment because, but I need some help because John's not been able to come to, he shouldn't have to come to all of them. And it's just been me, so.
I can bring my walker.
We're gonna get,
Now I have
no,
Joe.
we're gonna get you arrested.
So Joe will help, he just
Yes.
said, but,
And the next few months, my work schedule did change. I should be available on Sundays for at least a couple of months. So if we have some hikes on Sundays, I can make those.
yeah, so we just picked 3 dates, January 29th, February 26th, and March 26th. as
Sorry, can you say this
potential
one more
dates.
time, please?
Sure. January 29th.
Yep.
February 26th and March 26th. And we'll just have to figure out where we want to go. Beth.
Well, as far as, I mean, you partnering with other townships, I mean, the Friends group, right, is with, Marple Township. So, I mean, would it be kosher if we do some trails in Marple Township? I mean, they're looking at the Dunn Guanella property and what to do with that. Like, I know they've done a hike kind of looking at that, but kind of promoting that for them, but also like, hey, join this Friends group and you can come help us with our trails too, and kind of multi-purpose where we're hitting it from both sides. I mean, that township seems to make the most sense since the Friends group serves both of them.
The Havertown Friends of the Trail. Is that what we're talking about?
It is a Marple.
There's a
Newtown.
there's a Marple,
Newtown?
yeah,
Okay, sorry.
yeah.
And we have had some relationships with Radnor, and I know they do things. I think that might be a good opportunity to get, they have so many nice trails.
Mhm.
That might give
And I
us some
saw the-
ideas.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I saw the last video and people were talking about Skunk Hollow. Is that part of Newtown?
That's right.
It connects potentially to Newtown.
The one property that's currently under, I don't know if
Is
it
it
got
natural
approved yet,
lands?
but they're reviewing for development was something that we were hoping, because it connects into Skunk Hollow. It's at the very northeast corner, I believe,
Yep.
of our township, and it connects, it's right across the street or right connected to the property, Skunk Hollow.
Has anybody walked that? Do you know if we could do it? Is that
Yes.
okay?
For walking at Skunk Hollow.
Yeah. That
I
even-
know there's some trails over there. I've not personally walked them. but
Oh, yeah, I've been
It's a
there.
public
Yeah,
park.
I've been there.
And here's what I would say, when you're thinking about trails that you want to, if you're going to step outside of the township to do these walks, I mean, because remember, your focus is Newtown Township Trails. That's your focus.
Yes.
And so, but I get it if you're looking for some, something to kickstart and get some more people involved and things like that. One of the things that I would think about, if you're going to pick a trail outside of the township, I would try to pick trails that there's potential of us connecting to.
Okay.
Because if it's something that we can connect to, then maybe you can build excitement about the possibility of that connection. So like picking a trail that, going someplace that's 20 minutes away that we would probably never connect to, I would say, I'm not sure how that furthers what you're trying to do as this committee.
Sure.
But if it's something that it would look at a potential connection to a trail that we have or could have, that would make sense. That would just be my recommendation.
Thank you. So is Skunk Hollow in that? Does that fall under the aegis of we may?
Yeah, that would
Yeah, I
definitely.
mean,
Yeah.
I'll be, we put in for a grant to actually do sidewalks down Sawmill Road. And if we were to get that, that would actually potentially open up the real possibility of doing a connection into the Skunk Hollow Park and into their trail system.
Okay.
So I do think there's some potential there.
Okay.
And there is some potential actually through another way as well, through the paper mill side. So I think that I think either one of those two is a viable reason to look at that.
Good, thank you. Oh, got it. Okay, great. Joe just showed me the Willows and Skunk Hollow on all trails.
Uh-huh.
So it's there.
You have to be careful with all trails because users can put in trails on there and a lot of times those trails don't actually exist.
Your
Um,
private property.
You're on private property. So yeah,
Okay.
take all trails with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Okay, well, maybe Joe and I or somebody,
Radnor's website has detailed maps of those parks.
they do?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, when I was living in Wayne, we that was one of like the first ones that we went to way back when. So they've got a lot on their website, which is good.
okay, so I'm going to reach out and I know that there's evidently been problems with people receiving my emails or at least one individual, and I'm worried about that because I've sent responses and things, but I'm going to send to everybody here. Here's what the plan is for the next 3 months, okay? And can you please help? Or please attend and tell your friends. And do you have any ideas of a speaker for each event? Like we go to Skunk Hollow, I don't know what's there. I'll go walk it.
Well, considering you have a planned date on the 29th of this month, and we
Yes.
won't have another meeting, should we pick a respective location right now for
Yes.
that day? And then we can follow up with you with potentially people to join,
Yes.
maybe recommendations on that. But can we agree maybe to a location at there so that we
Where do
can,
you park?
well, I'm sorry,
Where do you park when you go to Skunk Hollow? That little parking area near the creek or
I
whatever?
think they have 2 parking lots technically at that park, but.
Yeah, it keeps changing. There's one, the road that goes across to Radnor Chester Road. If you take a left, there's a parking area right there. That's probably. the
Oh, yeah.
biggest.
Mm-hmm.
There used to be a road going down near the creek, but that isn't in service anymore.
Oh, they took that out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Time, Beth? What time would you like to start?
Oh, because it's winter, I would say afternoon, especially if we're looking at a Sunday, so maybe we're fighting light a little bit. That way we're trying to hit the warmest part of the day and
Is that good? Anybody with a problem with 2? Is 2 good?
It works.
Okay.
And I
2
guess-
o'clock.
are we looking at Skunk Hollow on the 29th? Or are we looking at Skunk Hollow for a later date?
I'm gonna go with in January because
Okay,
why not? I'll try it and then I'll write up something about it and blast it out to,
Yeah, we had a contact with Lisa Borowski. We did have a Zoom. Now she's up in higher places. But I think she could probably be someone that could recommend a speaker down there.
okay. Or
Somebody from
Kathy
Rad-
Cavalier, because it's near historic stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
Right, okay. If you have any suggestions or advice, Steve?
I don't right at this moment. If I think of something, I'll let you know.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that's it.
Or, Mr. Neese, are we anywhere close to a resolution that we might get a direct path through, or is that still moving along? Access to Skunk Hollow.
Well,
from Newtown.
if you're talking about the one from Paper Mill, as I understand it, we have that access at the moment. I know that they would like to change the way the access is, but right now we have I believe a court order that allows us to make that access without any problem.
So
going
we
straight through.
can walk right down the road and then through to Skunk Hollow?
That's my understanding.
Wow.
If you were to meet at the Paper Mill House, you could go down, you could go across the bridge that's there. There's a pedestrian bridge at the parking lot, go up by the Paper Mill House, walk down Paper Mill Road. On the road. You'd be on the road, but you could walk down the road and then you could walk, just keep going straight and you would go right through into Skunk Hollow.
That's great. Maybe a mile from the paper mill down to Skunk
Is it that
Hollow.
far? Okay, so it would be a mile till you get to the trails in Skunk Hollow, and then depending on how far in that you went would depend on how much further.
Yeah, you can go another 2 miles after that and get down to, the area where the creek is. I think that's wonderful. I had no idea we had access. That's great.
I mean, that access has been there. It
Okay.
hasn't changed.
I mean, the funny thing is, the access shows up on Google Maps, honestly enough.
Let me look on Onex.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Onex actually has.
You are going on a right of way that the township has across private property.
Is there going to be an issue, sir, though, with parking there
I would not, you can park at the Paper Mill
Yep.
House.
at the paper mill house?
Yep.
That, there's no issue. That's our parking lot.
Understood. Oh, I see. The Historical Society Paper Mill House
Yeah.
along that road. Okay, I see what you mean. Right along Darby Creek. Yeah. Okay. So Terry, maybe one of the things that we can do is we can mark up a select area of the map that you can put in the meetup to show them this is the meeting spot, this is the proper parking location, this is where we're going to walk. We can make people aware, maybe, hey, we're going to be walking on the road for a section to get to Skunk Hollow. Let's everybody have high vis stuff or whatever else, just make provisions for that. And then we're going to highlight, this is a reason why we need trails connecting in here, because much of our township, you're walking on this can be an extra selling point to drive home our message.
Yep.
Okay.
Serve that great food. Related question, Mr. Neese, if we got a speaker in that wanted to be paid a certain amount, can we make an application to the township for that?
I mean, the answer is yes, we can look at it. I'd have to look at where the budget is. I don't know what we budgeted specifically for this committee and how it was budgeted out. I don't remember budgeting any money for speakers, but we can take a look at it.
Okay. I know this year is tight.
All right, well, I think we have at least our plan for January, which is good. And then we can talk more about obviously the other 2 days you proposed. Thank you, Terry. Okay, moving on to item number 3, if there's no further discussion there. Discussion and possible recommendation regarding the Joyfor land development application, Marville landscape info. So that's, I don't know if Steve Bradley, if you could pull that up for the screen.
And apparently there's a planning commission meeting on January 26th.
All right, so. Tomorrow? That we said January 6th tomorrow?
January 26th.
Oh, 26th, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cobwebs in my ears. Okay, so. John, I don't know if you've had time to look at this yet. I honestly have not. But as far as recommendations on development,
So
this is specifically just landscape planning,
Just a
sir?
quick background, what
Yes,
the
please.
intent is here. The intent is basically to create a veterans hall or, like a VFW type of location. At that location, it would have some restrooms, probably a small kitchen, more designed to warm things up than to really be a serving kitchen. Or I should say a cooking kitchen.
Like a kitchenette type thing.
Like a kitchenette. The idea really is a place for the veterans to go near the memorial, and that's part of it. The other part would be that when there's events that are near the memorial, it would actually put some bathrooms in play. One of the challenges out there is usually when you have an event, there's no restrooms. So there would be some restrooms in for that purpose. So that's what this building is. It's relatively small when you look at the site, but that's what the focus is.
But also it's part of a bigger plan for further development in that particular area.
Yeah, that's what the last, because I remember seeing a much larger set of plans before last meeting, and I was confused, like, what is on this?
Well,
Show
so-
all this other stuff is future, but they're not addressing.
So we made sure the developer either brought in an entire project or brought in just this project. And he chose to bring in just this project. And so that's what you have before you.
So what's being approved isn't part and parcel of things that were scheduled for.
What is being approved is what's on this drawing.
Okay.
And the problem was he had other things on the drawing that weren't part of the approval process. And so therefore we told him he could seek approval for the things he had on the drawing and the whole thing, or he could seek approval just for this. whichever way he wanted, and this is what he came in.
Yeah, that's what the planning commission basically pushed back from that meeting that we joined, I believe, right?
Mhm.
When that came up. So I would say that that is very consistent with all of on my own completely separate thing here, but regulatory experience that I have with the states and stuff like that is you can't kind of put stuff on the drawing as future plans unless you're prepared to actually submit for that and have all that information. And you either want to see, like you said, Mr. Neese, the whole thing or what you actually want. So I think the chair of the planning commission was saying like, or not the chair, but somebody else was saying like, I don't want to approve something now that it would potentially have connections to other future work that you're not giving me information on. So I think that makes sense. Thank you for that reminder and clarification. Okay. So I don't know then, as far as our committee is concerned, really the only thing I could think of, which is very hard to see on my screen right now, is the same thing that we've been talking about for any of these other developments is sidewalks. They are building this building adjacent to the roadway there. I can't see, again, it's only one, two sheets, one plan. It doesn't look like there's a plan for sidewalks. So I don't know. It doesn't look like it. I see a right-of-way access or it looks like utilities or something. It's kind of hard to see, but that would be the only thing that I would say is very relevant. Is if you are, Mr. Nishi mentioned events, they're going to have events and this is supposed to be connected to that. You're going to have people parking in potentially right up along the street there where they show parking existing and then walking. And we want people to be able to, anytime it rains around here, it's always muddy. So they're not going to voluntarily walk in the mud if the road's right there and you're potentially creating hazard. So that would be my only recommendation, sir.
I think another thing might be, we're hoping for a walking trail going through the Debaton parcel, which is a little bit north of there. Possibly if we could get that sidewalk up to that location.
You're talking continue along here.
Yeah.
Up that, okay.
That'd be right.
So you're saying basically sidewalk through this portion that's in this plan
Yeah.
and then to here,
Or
to the proposed connection trail. Anybody else have any comments on that or?
I know this again is just sort of outside of our purview a little bit, but I'm always like, more native plants versus non-natives. They have a pretty good list of natives here, but if there are some native things that are comparable, especially because it's going to be near the woods and the stream right there where seeds could easily spread from non-native species. But again, I know that's
more non-native that they're putting in.
There's some Japanese holly, and there's a Prague viburnum, which honestly I would have to look up, but judging by the name, I'm guessing not native. But otherwise, I mean, they got native dogwoods. They have sweet bay magnolia. They're the red twig dogwoods. They have some that are the Frothergilla. There's some good natives in there, but if there's a native one that could take the place of the Japanese holly, that would be nice. And that viburnum, there's definitely a lot of native viburnums that are out there that would work.
I mean, connected to this, you brought this up before with the Garrett Williamson one, I know.
And I'll bring it up with
We
every
actually
property.
did, but we did actually put that in. And then when the planning commission met with them, as you know, Terry, they did talk about that and we did make that recommendation. And I think they took it pretty easily at that point. Was it Chester Valley Engineers or something? I forget who the firm was that was representing them, but I still look at like Greenways as kind of a rough line when it comes to it. So I don't see there's any issue us for make the recommendation. And maybe if it just goes to one of our other counterpart committees.
I look at it from
that
the
they could
perspective
follow
of, this stuff is going in, and if there's a chance for non-native plants to spread into our more native habitats that we are interested in protecting, like if there's some alternative that would work just as well, then let's do that.
I agree.
Can I
Okay,
ask if
so-
we have an arborist, my understanding is with the township. And is there an ordinance now that says any future landscaping has to have
It's reviewed by the arborist. And in addition to that, it's reviewed through the Shade Tree Commission. So, I mean, that's their role, is to do that. And they've actually listed what can and can't be planted in town.
Good.
And they've actually adopted a list.
Oh,
And
that's great.
so they will, at least my guess is they will come back and say anything that's not on that list needs to be changed.
That would be great data for one of these walks. Was it somebody from the Shade Tree Commission, you said it is?
Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't know that they had an approved list. That's good information.
it's on the, I think it's on the website.
Okay, that's great. That's good to put out there. Didn't know that. So then in theory, we could still just say, hey, we recommend the shade tree, look into this. They have an approved list. It's available here. We can even maybe link to it in future development write-ups that we do.
And without seeing the list, I mean, the list may have some non-natives that are less likely to spread on there, you know, again, just, if we can do natives, cool. If there's a non-native that's less likely to spread, that's better than some of the other non-natives. But again, I know that's kind of, again, outside our thing a little bit.
I think then, so what I would say is then, I don't know if we have to put it for a vote technically, but because this planning commission meeting is coming up in the interim, I'll have to do the same write-up that I've done on previous developments when we make recommendation. And is, you know, I don't know if we put it to a vote, I would like to propose that I put on there the recommendation for the sidewalk connecting up to the Diva Time Trail is number one.
Perhaps a vote to authorize you to.
Yeah, sure, yeah, okay, so I'd like to propose that on those two items and nothing else that we haven't discussed here, that I will put those in that development write-up. Can I hear a vote for saying aye? I don't know how this works
So moved.
procedurally.
second. If
Okay,
that's-
thank you. And then, everybody. Okay, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm trying. I should have paid more attention to the procedural stuff. I was more on the content for so long, and I apologize in my clumsiness around the, that kind of stuff. All right. I think that's good then. And we'll move on to old business. 10.1. Update information on the trail hike, the Drexel Lodge on November 19th. This is because I think we hadn't been able to have that update before.
It was great to go into all of the different trains. I would say that was the most extraordinary part of it, because when we did the Drexel Lodge walk previously, the engine wasn't open, I think, and this time it was, and that is so. A lot of people were excited about that. But again, it was not as substantial participation. And what was interesting is that people who attended were from far away. They were from like Exton and Manayunk, and I don't remember where, but you know, they were not locals. So that was interesting. One lady slipped and fell. No problem. I told her she was going to slip. She had little silly sneakers on, and God bless her, she did. And she was fine. But I will mention that over and over at every walk, wear the appropriate foot gear and, you know, watch your step.
So Terry, when you do the meetup notification then on these trail walks that we're doing, you know, we talked about for this upcoming one, like we'll maybe put together a little cheapo kind of animation, not animation, a little cheapo markup that shows, hey, this is where we're starting, this is where we're going.
Yeah.
Throw that. We could potentially also put that, hey, please wear appropriate footwear, expect to encounter mixed surfaces, you know, paving, mud, this and that.
Yes.
Just because, you know, if we are representing the township, we want
Yes.
everybody to be as safe as possible, obviously. So maybe we can add that. I don't think that's a problem to go to that stretch, right, Mr. Neese?
No.
Yeah.
I make sure I
Yeah, well, we can try in all the future ones to put some sort of graphic
just, yeah.
that has
should we
the
have a
map at least and
disclaimer?
locations. I think that would be helpful.
Yes, we should have, well, always have, it comes up on a map where you're going, and then you have to give directions on where you're going to park in the meetup. So
Gotcha.
there's a little location guide.
Well, I'm
I
thinking the
don't have an
trail
official
too, like where we're walking. maybe,
Yes,
too.
that'd be good. That'd be good.
It's really easy these days with all the mapping programs we have, you know, Joe and I both have OnX and All Trails and all that, and you could draw right on top of it very easily.
That's
So
nice.
we could just do that and screen grab it and give it to you. It's better than nothing.
May I ask about the legal aspect of that for just a second? Because I know when we have artists that we book in the library, we have an artist agreement and it has a disclaimer that the library nor the township can assume any responsibility for your artwork. We don't carry insurance on you. Is there something that we should, I don't know if you've ever seen that. I think you have, maybe.
Copyrighted material, you want to use.
Like something on the meetup that would just say, you know, we suggest that you wear this appropriate gear or something in order to keep the liability off of us at any level.
So you're talking about like a map.
No, I'm talking about verbiage, just a few lines.
Basically, a
I'll
disclaimer
talk to our
saying-
solicitor and see if he has any recommendations.
Thank you. Yeah, but we are covered by township somehow. Insurance. But since now somebody did slip, she didn't get hurt. But
Allowed to file a complaint.
John, why you gotta say that? Okay, all right, well, so Mr. Neese is gonna follow up with the solicitor and we'll see if we can add anything to, I mean, bare minimum, again, if we're just trying to help people recommend that they wear the proper footwear, that's at least basic we can do, I think, but we'll wait to hear back from Mr. Neese on anything more, I guess.
A courtesy,
Yeah,
not telling them what ballerinas. Assumption of the risk is on them. Dr. Rich.
I'm gonna talk to Rich. I mean, one of the things I know is getting sued is always not always an option, but always possible, I shouldn't say. Yeah, I should say it that way. And I mean, there is some protections that we have. But I think that I just want to talk to him. I have some ideas and I just want to check. I just want to run through things.
good. Any other comment on item 10.1, the Drexel Lodge walk we did in November? Okay, all right, here now we're gonna move on to items for the next agenda. So if there's any recommendations from our committee here, things that we want to add, we'll, you know, I think that it would be important to add a follow-up since I'm going to be doing this document and not the entire committee will see it before it has to go to the planning commission. And maybe we can put that on the agenda, sir. Just have a follow-up with that.
You'll meet before it goes to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay.
So, I mean, yes, you're making a recommendation also to the Planning Commission, but your ultimate recommendation is to the Board of Supervisors. That's what that's who you're ultimately recommending.
Gotcha.
And they won't meet on this until at least the 13th of February.
Okay. But so then can I still bring that draft document essentially that I'm bringing up in our group in next meeting so that
Yeah.
they're at least aware of anything there? Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add to the agenda at this time? Okay. Item number 12, final public comment. I don't know if anybody is online or anything, but probably not.
We don't.
Oh,
So
that's
just
right.
be
I'm sorry.
clear, we're only taking public comment if somebody's in the audience or if they've sent something in ahead of time. We're not doing anything online.
That's right, you have told me that. Okay. Hearing no public comment, move on to adjournment. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Second? All right. Everybody, thank you.